Saints fans, welcome back to the Predicted 23. My name is Ari. This week we're coming up against the Tigers at the MCG 120, I believe. But most importantly, Jack Steele's 200th, which will be great. So everyone get down to support Steely and the boys. Well, the season's almost come to an end now. Let's hope we can, get a few wins and watch more of our young talent on display. Speaking of, could be some exciting young talent coming in this week. So let's just get straight into it. Coming into the side, Darcy Wilson and Mateus Filippo. Coming out, Mitch Owens and Ryan Burns. Let's talk about it. So the ins, I think, fairly obvious. If there's going to be any ins this week, you can pretty much put the house on it that these two will come in. I would be shocked if either of them didn't. Wilson had a lazy 37 and a goal for VFL. That's a joke, of course. And 1 goal, 3. So plenty of scoring shots. And Filippo, the 23 touches and the goal. I think for him, it was just about getting a run in. They didn't want to rush him back in, clearly, which is fine. I don't mind the conservative approach, especially this time of year, but he seems to have gone through that game no stress, so I would suspect he comes straight into the side and into that midfield on Saturday. And yep, Darcy, as I said, speaks for himself. The outs, Mitch Owens, unfortunately, has done a hammy and is going to be out for the rest of the season. So that's just is what it is. Unfortunate for Mitchy, but I'm sure he's going to have another stellar preseason and will be fit and firing for round 1 next year. Ryan Burns, just the odd man out. It's probably a toss-up between him or Zach Jones, if I'm honest. But yeah, neither of those boys are playing particularly well. They're doing some nice things. I'm definitely not ragging on them, but someone's got to make room when their players are ready to come back. If the side isn't performing to its best abilities, which, we've had 2 wins, but we were terrible for 3 quarters against Melbourne. And that North game, I think, we got the win, but it certainly wasn't the prettiest game of football. And I'd say we played good for maybe a quarter and a half in that game. But anyway, so Burnsy is the unlucky man. Couple players in contention this week. First of all, I'd say though, Dougal Howard, an interesting one. He's still TBC on the injury report. I'm suspecting he's out for the season. I don't know of that. It just is what it's sounding like. They don't seem to want to put a time frame on his return. Potentially that's just a situation where they're putting him on ice for the year, which is a little interesting considering his future is sort of up in the air right now. But yeah, we'll just have to see how that one plays out. Toby Travalia is a big one. He had the 20 touches for Sandy. He certainly seems to be improving down there, but I think the coaches are a little reluctant just to push him into the deep end, essentially, of AFL footy too soon, which they have done a little bit this year. I feel indifferent about it. I'm happy for him to continue developing at Sandy, or if he wants to, if the coaches feel he's ready to come up and play AFL footy, then put him in. But at this stage of the season, unfortunately, we're just playing in a couple of dead rubbers these next 2 weeks. So, yeah, you do what's best for the future, I suppose. And I would say that's probably playing him. But, again, if they're going to think that's developing him at Sandy, then do that. Liam Henry, I'd say as well, is in contention. He had the 16 touches and a goal. Runs through the midfield a lot in the twos, which is sort of an interesting one because when he's playing AFL footy, rarely does. But so I'd say he's in contention. Some people aren't crazy about having him in the side. If this was more of a what Ari wanted video, and I'd said everything I want, I'd probably put him back in there. But trying to predict as close to accurate as what I think the teams will be on Thursday night. I've mentioned Paddy Dowtz with the 28 touches. I would suspect he's going to play a game by the end of the season. At least one will be a great story. Good to see him, to get him back out there. Probably not this week though. And then Lance Collard and Ari Shoalmaker both plugging away in the twos. Did Collard play? I'm not sure. He might have been the emergency. But Ari did play, had 22 and a goal. So that is who is in contention. Like I said, holding their spots. Hasty, he's just a young player who, now that Naz is in the midfield, I like him on that half-back role. Even though Hunter Clark is sort of taking those reins a bit, I still want to keep Hasty and see what he's got. Zachy Jones, I've already mentioned. Max Heath, I thought he actually, that was the best game he's played in his 3, I guess. So he kicked the 2 goals, but he could have easily had 3 or 4. And I think it's just important while King's out, we just need someone who's going to compete in the forward line. Yeah, maybe he's not the best he doesn't have the best natural football ability. He doesn't look like a total athlete. I mean, he's a big boy, but he's just competitive. He flies for the ball, and he forces the opposition to make a move, essentially, which means he either wins a free kick or he's bringing the ball down. So if he can start kicking those goals, I think he's going to be a good fringe player for us in the future if he can, continue on this trajectory. But he's still playing for a contract, so you almost want to let him do that. So he can prove his worth, I suppose, in these last few weeks. But for the most part, I think the team is reasonably set. I wouldn't be making too many changes. Bokshul, I'm liking in that role on the wing, spending a bit of time forward as well. Like I said, Hunter Clark, loving his role on the halfback flank. So, pretty happy with this team. A bit of a shorter one this week. Let's go over the team before I wrap it up. From the full back line, Liam Stocker, Anthony Caminiti and Alex Taru. On the half-back line, Hunter Clark, Callum Wilkie and Jack Sinclair. On the wings, Hugh Bokshul and Bradley Hill. In the middle, Roel Marshall as the ruck, Nasai Wangani-Malira, Mateus Filippo returning, and Jack Steele in his 200th. On the half-forward line, Hugo Garcia, who will certainly rotate with the midfield, Max Heath, Mason Wood. On the full forward line, Max Hall, Cooper Sharma and Jack Higgins. Max Hall I'd expect to be running through the midfield as well. And on the bench, Jack McRae, Darcy Wilson, Marcus Windhager and Angus Hasty. As the sub, I've got Zachy Jones, and the emergencies, Travalia, Henry and Burns. And obviously there's been a bit of discussion around Jack Steele being the sub. For mine, everyone has their own opinion. I mean, only I guess the people within the four walls would know, but I just think it was, as Ross said, he was they were almost managing him for his 200th. His body's been banged up all year. He's a bit sore, so it's one of those things where Collingwood are doing it with Scott Pendlebury and some other players. It's not an uncommon thing. I suppose, obviously people are pointing it out because he's the captain, but no, I expect him to slot straight in as Ross said he would. Excited for that. Excited to get down to the G on Saturday. Cheer on the boys. So until next week, go the Mighty Sainers. Talk soon.